Hey, everyone, your designers are here.
I'm Anita with Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly with My Soulful Home. And we've got tips and tricks and decorating advice for you today. So let's get started. Today is episode 73. We are going to talk about styling a coffee table. So let's get started with our coffee table styling.
Ooh, well, it's a coffee table. I mean, what do you need on a coffee table? A
glass of
table.
wine.
A glass of wine.
That was a rhetorical question, I
Oh!
And a coffee
Why do they
table
call it a
book.
coffee table? I don't
Right?
drink
A coffee table book.
think. Mm-hmm.
Coffee
And don't we
table
have
book.
one coming out?
Oh,
Well, it's not even a coffee table. It could be, but it's
Well, it
also
could
very
be.
useful. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Kelly has a new book coming out. Tell us the name of your book.
yes. I always say like a new book, like I have a whole cadre of
Oh, yes, your latest book, darling.
Revelator's book. Yes. I have a book coming out, you guys. I'm so excited.
July
I did
19th.
July 19th. It should be, if all goes well, it should be up on Amazon and in other places. And I don't know, my girls keep asking me, if we go into a bookstore, is it going to be in there?
Oh.
And
That's a big day when you go in there and you see your book. Oh, it's so
Oh.
I
exciting.
don't know. Is that going to happen? That would be really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yes. And I actually moved it to a little more prominent. No, I asked the guy that worked there first.
You
When my
actually
book came
rearranged
out,
the
I
bookstore.
moved it to a little more prominent location there at Barnes and Noble. And I posted it on Facebook that I had done that. And some lady said, no one's ever going to find your book because you've moved it around.
That's
Well,
not how
hey.
she truly sounded, though.
Everybody can find my book because they can find it on your blogs.
That's
yes,
right.
we're so
And it's on
excited.
Amazon.
I thank
Amazon's the
you
easiest place.
for you guys being so supportive, and thank you to our listeners and all our readers for letting me tell them about my book. And I am super excited, and thank you for being excited with me. It's called My Soulful Home: A Year in Flowers, and it's all about floral design. And I take you through 12 tutorials, one for each month, sort of going with the seasons and how to use florals in sort of some unusual ways. And you learn about flowers and how to treat them and how to make them last longer, and a few flowers with special needs that you can take care of in a better way, and how to grow a little cutting garden. And there's a lot of stories in there too. So it's been really wonderful, and I hope that people like it. And honestly, I just enjoyed writing it so much and taking the pictures and making the florals. If no one really bought it, I think I'd still be happy. But
You were sending us the pictures while you were working on it. It was so fun to see the pictures and the excitement. But you wrote this book in what, 3
Record
months?
time.
yes, well, we were
Record
trying
time.
to.
Nuts.
We were trying to get it. Was my idea to try to get it out for Mother's Day, because I thought it would be such a nice Mother's Day. And I was actually kind of like, would have been like a Mother's Day present to my mom a little bit,
But now it'll be a Christmas gift.
Well, yeah.
Literally,
we'll
I
put
was
it away
just
for
thinking it will make gorgeous Christmas gifts.
could be a gorgeous Christmas gift. But anyway, I did get it done in my time frame. But then my wise publisher said, hey, why don't we take a little bit more time to get it out there? It would have been just, shove. So this was, and since it's my first time doing this sort of thing, there were other things that I didn't realize I needed to learn as we went along about, okay, now the book is done. Now what happens? So the whole thing's been really interesting and a great learning experience. So thank you for sharing in that with me. And if anybody is interested in taking a look at it, as I said, they can see it on Stone Gable and Cedar Hill Farmhouse, and also my blog and some other wonderful blogs, friends of ours.
And it'll be on Amazon.
And it will be on Amazon for purchase.
Sounds
Yes.
great.
Or in your local bookstore. And if it's not in a prominent place, I want you to rearrange it.
Believe
right.
me, I'm going to Barnes and Noble. I'm going to put it right up front.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to
Excuse
move
me.
it all
There's a
around.
little space in the window right here. So,
There you go.
and we're gonna do a fun giveaway, right, you guys? So
Yes.
I've got a really, really beautiful something. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. And then 2 useful things that I talk about in the book that are things that I use in creating the flowers and creating the flower arrangements. And so we're going to package them up. I'm going to package them up, and we're going to give them away on the blogs next week. So look out
Wonderful.
for that.
Awesome. Okay, back to the coffee table. So you've got your wine, you've got your book. What else goes on your coffee table? What's your must-have on your coffee table?
A vignette.
A vignette.
Yeah, that is my go-to. I grab a basket or a tray and put a really pretty vignette in there. Both of my living room tables, coffee table's pretty long. But
so I was going to ask you, Yvonne, how big a coffee table are we talking about that you're styling?
I'm so terrible. I'd have to literally go leave the podcast, go out and measure and come back and tell you. I'm terrible at those.
I mean, is it a smallish or is it kind of
it's
generously
a little
sized?
longer. It's rectangular longer.
Okay.
Right now I have a big basket.
Maybe
like
about 3 feet
basket.
then? Is it like a yardstick wide?
Oh, maybe there, or maybe a little bit more generous.
That's a nice size. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then the one I have in my family room is a big basket with a lid. And
I like those.
Because we're using that right now because it's summer. And I have a vignette in there. Now that takes up a lot more room, but the top of the basket's very nubbly. So we need something large on there.
Mm-hmm. So nubbly. I like that.
Nubbly.
That's a good one.
In case we want to put a glass of, wine or
coffee.
Okay.
Coffee.
So the first tip I'm hearing from what you're saying, Yvonne, is if you have a coffee table with an uneven surface, like it's a basket, a lidded basket, use a tray to put things on so that they've got a flat surface and they're not going to tip over.
Yes.
Especially a drink or something.
And I'm going to tell you, create a vignette and put everything in it and you're done.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's my favorite thing to do on a coffee table.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the height of things on there? Is that
that's all in the vignette. So it's all these elements that you maybe I don't know that I put everything that's in the basket on a table, but combined in a basket, it looks really nice. There's height, texture, something organic, something seasonal, just the whole 9 yards in a big basket. Right now I have baskets. Sometimes I use trays depending on the time of the year. But because I like that a vignette tells a story of sorts. And it's a wonderful way to add a whole bunch of things together in a really pretty way, and then just pick and choose, like take some things out and put some things in all during the year. So you can have seasonal, you can transition from one season or holiday to the other. And now I like to recreate the wheel and recreate a vignette, but you don't necessarily have to like take everything out. Like if you have a beautiful lantern you like, well, you can keep that in all year round.
That sounds nice. How about you, Kelly? What size coffee table are you working with?
Well, right now I have a thin rectangle and it's very simple and I really like it. I got it from, I believe it was from overstock.com and it was very inexpensive and it's much more modern than some of my other pieces. But again, I like that juxtaposition. So, and it's a very matte, muted gold and with metal legs. And then the top is just the same. So it's super plain.
Oh, metal. So it's not a glass top.
Well, the top is some sort of, it's some sort of wood that's painted, but the legs are metal and it's very, very clean lines. And it's all in that same sort of matte antique gold color. And I love it. And I think it really is a great, it's so simple that when you put something on it, it stands out. There's not carved legs, so it really is just shows off what you have going on in there. And it's not very wide. So I'm going to say that it's probably less than a yard wide and it's maybe a yard and a half long. Now, it's a rectangle. So on a rectangle coffee table, I like to put something round. So I have a round tray on it. And now I have a small cloche and I have this little, it's kind of like, it's a ball, like, you would imagine like a moss ball, but it has the little feathers on it. So that's just something really soft. Mm-hmm. And then I found this really cool rock. I like rocks. This really cool, I was made more like a stone. Like it would be almost something you would see in one of those like gemstone
like
stores.
A geode or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, or it's not quite as sparkly, but it's got sort of layers and it's in these really cool colors. So anyway, I found that when I was digging up the garden and so I washed that all up and that's sort of sitting there as some, organic interest. And there's a candle. So that's on my tray. And so that's off to one side. And then I do have a pile of sometimes it's magazines, but right now it's coffee table books or just, books that I like, that are beautiful. And so they're stacked, and I have something laying across the top of those. Like right now it's a big, old fashioned key just sort of on the top of those, but I don't want to make it too crowded because it is a functional space.
Right.
So I don't want to put too many things on a coffee table. Now, if I had a round coffee table, I might want to do a rectangle tray or a rectangle, something to corral my vignette. But I totally agree with Yvonne. I like to have a vignette on a coffee table. I don't want to have everything on one plane. Because sometimes even if you have books and they're stacked, it's just sort of straight horizontal lines. So I have something with some highs and lows and texture, just like she mentioned.
So, and Kelly, you mentioned, I think another key tip to point out, don't overcrowd your coffee table.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because even if it's something where you're not sitting in there all the time and having people over for coffee or wine or tea or whatever, it's still it's a functional space. And don't let people come through your house and throw stuff on your coffee table like some people that live here do sometimes.
Make sure they're listening to episode 73, Kelly.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I've actually got an ottoman, so and you would think maybe you can't style it, but I do because I put a tray there. And once you've got a tray, you've got a flat surface. So you can do some things, even if you have an ottoman, you can do like I do, just put a tray there. It's not very large. And obviously, we do use it as an ottoman. So, I have to be careful what I put there. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you do have an ottoman, is people probably are going to be using it to put their feet on. So don't put anything there too precious that might fall off and break. I certainly wouldn't be putting a drink on there if there's feet going there, because that could easily spill over. So I have a stack of some books, a real pretty magnifying glass with a horn handle. And I usually maybe keep one other thing there. So you do really need to be thinking, especially if you have dogs that might be knocking things over. Mm-hmm. That's another thing to think about when you're talking about a coffee table. It's lower than your other tables. So you do need to be thinking about, if you have pets, if you have small kids over, is what you have there, is it going to be okay? Is it going to get knocked over? Especially if you have an ottoman.
I really like the idea. Well, first of all, I love an ottoman. I think that's such a neat, makes such a neat coffee table because, again, you can put your feet up on it and you don't have to worry about hurting any of the wood. Is it a leather? I've seen it many times, but I can't recall what
mine
it is.
I made a slip cover for it, and it's a linen. It's
linen. Oh, well, I should have known.
Yes, of course, it's linen.
Okay. I've seen it so many times, and I just couldn't bring it up. I just think that's such a marvelous idea. So, what do you have? What do you keep in like your tray? What do you have in there?
Well, for me, I have, like I said, I try to not put anything in there that's going to break if it gets knocked over because, we do put our feet up there without shoes. But so I have some books and a magnifying glass, and I have
that's it. Okay.
Well,
gotcha,
I think I have a little angel on there too thing, but that's about it.
Okay. So you keep yours pretty functional because you use it primarily to put your feet on and just really relax.
Right. But it's not that big. It's round. So I can't, not really.
Okay. Now I know what it looks like. I totally got it now.
Right.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of room to put anything there.
That's right. That's right. I like coffee tables because they're a space to add some more decor, like layer something. And I agree with you that you shouldn't use up all the space, but I do use up, I would think, a pretty good amount. Now, I do like books. If I'm not going to put a tray, I do love the look of like 3 stacks of exactly almost the same height, the same footprint, all in a row, and then puts different things on top of them. I think that's a really pretty look. And do you ever look at people's coffee table books?
Oh, yeah. I think that's a great place to stack some beautiful ones.
Yeah. And I love coffee table books. I think they're so interesting. The photographs, if you like pretty pictures, the photographs are just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's fun if you have guests over. That's a fun thing to look through. So that's not just something beautiful. I think that you can actually use it. And maybe you have a book sitting there that you haven't looked at in a while, it's fun to just pick it up and look at it yourself, even though you've seen it 100 times.
Well, and also when you look at people's books, whether it's coffee table books or the books that they have on their shelves, I think it gives you a little insight into their personality.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of interesting too.
We come from a military family, so we have one called Medal of Honor Winners, and it's an amazing book. So every once in a while I'll go out and pick it up and leaf through it just because it's such a cool book. And you're right. It tells a lot about us. It was given, every child in our family was given this book by our mom one Christmas. So, you can say, hey, yeah, you can tell that we've got a military connection there.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh, so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants.
Well, I think another thing to keep in mind is the height of things, because again, it's not a dining room table, but it is a table where you're talking to people across the table. Maybe you're looking at the TV on the other side. So I think it's important not to have anything too big, too bold, too much that takes up too much space or is too tall that it might block conversation.
And you're so right. But if you're like us, we so totally don't follow that rule.
Oh, don't you don't? No, so you put something tall on it?
Yeah, right now I have a pot filled with faux lavender. And I mean, it looks very, my rule, you have to be within 3 feet. And if you can't tell it's real, it's okay.
Right. Everyone has to sit really far back on the couch and say, is it real? Or is it not?
I really should say a foot, because even from 3 feet back, I want to not be able to tell. But I have a big galvanized tray with wooden handles. And if we're going to watch TV, we pick it up and just put it to the side.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because it's all corralled in one spot and it looks so pretty. So most of the time we're not watching television. Mm-hmm. So that's true. It sits there and it looks really nice. So the object is maybe you need to find a tray that has handles that you can every time you want to use it, you can take it off.
I think that's a good point. So now Kelly, what are your favorite things to put on your coffee table? What types of things? What things do you put there?
Well, I always want to have a candle because if I am going to take the time to sit in there, I usually light a candle. And my kids are of the age now where I can actually tuck a book of matches someplace and not worry about somebody experimenting.
Okay.
So of late, in fact, I tried that on the porch because I was like, if I go out there and the candle's sitting there and I want to light it and I get all set up and then I'm like, oh, now I got to back and get, but that didn't work out because even here where it's really dry, the matches got all wet from the dew and whatever. But I do have a nice, actually, my mother-in-law tucked them in my stocking one year, a really pretty real match book, like one that slides open and closed. And it has a pretty little picture on it. So I have that in sort of tucked under the little vignette so you can't see it, but they're there so I can light the candle if I want. And as I mentioned, it's either a stack of books or sometimes I go on a binge, like if my friend Anita or Yvonne are in a magazine, I'll go buy a whole bunch of magazines. And so sometimes I have magazines, but I don't want it to look like it's a dentist's office. So I don't have magazines out there all the time, but I might want to have at the ready if I wanted to sit in there. And again, the vignette, some sort of tray or something to corral it. And every once in a while, I think, I should switch that out. Let me, play around with some different things. And I move them around. I don't do very tall things. Usually keep them to the medium and the lows. And that's normally what's on there. If I have some fresh flowers, even if I put just a few little sprigs of a bouquet that I might buy at the grocery store, I will tuck them in a little silver vase and put them in that vignette. But similar to what Yvonne is saying, I know what works there, and you don't necessarily have to recreate the complete wheel each time. You might change out a spoke or two, and either give a nod to the season or something new that you just bought, or move things around. So I do that.
I was going to say that's important, though. A coffee table is a great place to give a little nod to the season.
So how do you do that?
Well, and I love a transition. I love transitional decorating like the ease of starting a season, going in from one season and going to the next, and like just giving a little bit of it at first and then getting more and more as I go on. Let's say that I have a stack of maybe 3 bowls. Well, maybe in the fall, I have some beautiful faux pears. I'd put pears in that, or apples in that. Or right now I go pretty tall in my living room. I have 2 topiaries that are sitting in a great big basket as part of a vignette. But towards the fall, I may take that out and put in a white pitcher of bittersweet.
Well, you're making me so envious of the regular coffee table because I have the ottoman. There's really not a lot I can do. I can't put anything too tall. It's going to fall over since we do actually use it as an ottoman. But you're making me think, really, a coffee table is such a great way to add some interest, some color, some personality to your room. And it's right in the center. So it's front and center as far as what you're noticing. So
yes, definitely.
I think that's a great idea. Do you put flowers there?
Who, me? Yes.
Well,
my goodness. Yes. All the time. Especially like my hydrangeas, my big white hydrangeas, they look so pretty in something on a coffee table.
Yeah. And even if you're not sitting there, it might be a room where you're either walking by or you're walking through, and it's a really nice place to be able to do a little creative designing. And if you have anything that you've done on your coffee table, you can join some of the others like Julie and Sandy. And oh my gosh, we've had so many of our listeners sending us photos of their vignettes.
So fun.
And we love it.
So fun. Yes.
So do send some things.
Send us your coffee table.
Send us your
what's on top of your coffee table?
Yeah. What's on your coffee table? What was that thing? What's in your wallet?
Right.
Let's think about Anita's out of the box thinking with her ottoman. So you could also do coffee tables that are trunks or I think Yvonne mentioned, a basket that you can open. So something that's functional as well, where you can have room for storage. Maybe you put photo albums in there that you're not going to look at all the time. Or maybe you put in the other items from your coffee table, your ever rotating coffee table vignettes in there.
Oh, yeah.
Or throws or off-season pillows or something like that. So when you're thinking about a coffee table, I'm working with a client right now, and she is transitioning from the family home to an apartment for herself and her one daughter who's back from college just for the summer. But most of the time, it's just going to be her in this apartment. And wow, did we purge? And then really had to rethink the pieces she had and what was coming with her. And very few things were coming with her. And one thing we're working on is a coffee table, and she needs a lot of storage. So we're looking into different options.
Then. Yeah.
So we're going to either go with a storage option, or we're going to go with something that has very low visual impact in the room. Two loose site cubes next to each other. I love that look. I love that too. And we're definitely exploring all that because it's an apartment. And so the kitchen is open. It's like a small great room. And so I think something with very little visual impact is probably going to be a great idea there. Other people might be battling with that too. You want to think about, do you need storage? Maybe. So then you have to have something that's a little bit more substantial.
And then anything you put on that really has to be, you've got to be able to take it off a lot. You're going to be taking it off and on and off and on. Like our has our winter quilts and things like that, and it's that we use downstairs. So we're not touching it. We're not opening it.
That's smart. You're not going to want to be like, I want my, that shirt again. And you're in there, unless you're really,
don't store
in a
stuff
for
there
space.
you're using.
So what she'd put on that would be something probably, again, in a small tray or something, or just like a handful of books or magazines with something on the top of it that isn't going to be that hard to take off and often put back on a lot.
Well, if you listen back to one of our first episodes when I talked about that first sofa, the whole point was we couldn't afford a sofa, but we also couldn't afford a coffee table. And who needs a coffee table if you don't even have a sofa? But we ended up with a coffee table. You'll have to go listen to the sofa episode.
Oh, if you please listen. It's hysterical.
If you want to know how we got it. But we had no coffee table. But somebody as a wedding gift gave us this huge igloo cooler, and it was a bright yellow. So do you know what I did?
Jean, you have come a long way.
I put that. No, wait a minute. That was our coffee table, but I covered it with a throw.
And I covered that igloo cooler with Belgian linen.
And her Naugahyde sofa. Hey,
no, it wasn't Naugahyde. It was Herculon.
No, that's right. No, it was Herculon. That's right.
It was Herculon. It was non-destructible fabric.
That's really unfortunate. That was not destructible.
Those were my college days. I remember them well. But how creative is that? I mean, you just needed something that height.
So I mean, I think you can think outside the box. What can you use as a coffee table? And at our mountain house, I found this gorgeous antique rolling cart. I still don't have a picture of it. I'll get it when I get up there this summer. But that's our coffee table in the TV room there.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, though.
Oh, yeah. I was looking for that picture. Okay, I need a picture of that.
I know I don't have one of that. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that you can use. And there is a standard of how high it should be. But
yes, I was just going to say that. Okay, so because
we're talking about styling it, though.
Yeah, because
I can't say the standard.
Yeah, you can say.
Well, but I'm just saying. But just talking about this, right? And so we've used a trunk also before, so that's certainly something. It's a little bit taller. Yeah.
Well, your standard igloo cooler should be.
It's probably just a little shorter than a standard height for a coffee table. When Bob and I were first married, we put nothing on our table because we ate picnic style on our dining room, on our coffee table,
kids,
on the floor.
Crazy kids.
I know, or we'd eat.
So you could have used my igloo,
or spread a blanket out and sat picnic on, like a true picnic on the floor. The first time we had our parents over, we did that. I mean, I thought my mother, like, what happened to my daughter? Who does she marry? So, and until we had kids that were big enough to sit at the table, that's how we sat every night. We didn't watch TV. We just put a couple candles there. And I don't know. We just sort of like doing that.
Oh, Bobby, that sounds so romantic.
So boho Bobby on the floor.
Boho Bobby.
Did you just say Soho?
Boho.
No, boho Bobby.
Boho
Okay.
Bobby.
Boho
On a big
Bobby.
floor cushion.
Oh
Yeah,
my
barefoot
gosh!
in
When
the
you
park,
see him,
that's
you
what it
have to
sounds
see.
like.
Oh yeah, you have to see him and tell him that. But it should be. It has to be functional. What you put on your coffee table, you have to have your coffee table has to be functional. But you also want to put something on there that really is very personal, because it's a layer of decor and it's a great way to show your personality in what you put on it. I agree with that.
And the scale of your coffee table should work with your other furnishings. You don't want to have a little tiny dinky, very feminine, small coffee table. And if you've got this big, giant, overstuffed couch and whatnot. But I think, that's an extreme, but the rules have definitely been broken again and remade. So if you put something, you would not think my coffee table and my sofa would go together if you had them in two separate rooms, but they really work together, at least in my mind. So, you can experiment with some different things, and you can keep the thought of the scale and also the size. They say a coffee table should be about 18 to 20 inches off the ground. But, if your sofa is much higher, then you're going to want to go up. So you have to see really what works in your room. Another great idea is doing a set of nesting tables, clustered. And that's especially a great idea if you're in a smaller space or a space like mine, which is really thin and long. So I have the sofa, coffee table in front of it, and then much more than an arm's length away, those two Bergère chairs that we've talked about.
Yes.
So they each have their own little side table, which are a set of nesting tables. But if I didn't have those, it would be great to have a set of 3 nesting tables as the main coffee table, and then you could break those apart and move them to the other pieces of furniture, when they need it to be functional.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Now, here's another idea for a coffee table. It's not styling because you can't put anything on top of these. I like 2 garden stools.
Yeah.
That are the
great
same
idea.
color, that are exactly the same, set side by side. And I've used that before. I had beautiful green ones. And
But you wouldn't really be able to put much on those.
No, I don't put anything on top of
Right.
those.
I don't think I would put anything on them either.
The ones I have are semi-flat. They're not totally flat. So, I mean, they look like they're flat, but they're not. They're just a little bit raised in the center. And I think it's just because out in the garden, the rain can fall off of it. But they look really nice. Now, I might venture to try to put a cup of coffee on it, but that's about it.
Well, that sounds great. And before we close, I also wanted to mention, please vote for my rugs on the Dash and Albert competition that I'm in.
Tell us where to vote.
So if you go to the Annie Silky Instagram page, there's a bunch of rugs. And if you scroll down to the last 3, there's a fleur-de-lis, there's a grain sack style, and one that's a quote. Those are my designs. It's kind of a once in a lifetime chance that they're giving several of us designers to have our rug designs made into actual rugs. But I need your votes to get that. And they're only choosing the top 10 rugs. And right now I'm trailing behind. So please go over there and vote for me.
It's SELKE, right?
Yes, Annie, SELKE. And we'll have a link in the show notes.
And that's on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's on Instagram. So thanks for voting.
Well, here's the thing with coffee tables. You want them to be personal. You want the styling on it to be a layer of who you are, bring a little personality. And you want to use different heights, different textures, throw something organic in, maybe mix some metals, have a tight color palette, throw in a few really beautiful books, but make it your own. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey there. If you're loving our podcast like we're loving our podcast, we would love you to rate and review us. Head to iTunes to do that. It's easy and it would mean so much to us.